It's a new rise. Can somebody lift those hands? It's a new rise. I need you to speak it over your own life tonight. It's a new rise. It's a new rise.
Hello, hello. I don't know if you can hear me at all, folks, because I could not hear that intro. So I'm hoping that you can hear me. So Angeline, if you could just double check, that would be great. This is the Propel Deep Dive. I'm Megan DiMartino, and I'm thrilled to be here this evening with you to share again my dear friend Bruce Pulver's story, and that and I'm kind of put off here because I'm not sure if you can hear me. But with that said, Angeline,
yeah, we can hear you. You're good. You're good, Megan.
I couldn't hear the opening at all.
I could hear it.
Music.
Oh, it was there.
Huh? I didn't see it at all. Anyhow, thank you, Angeline. Appreciate it. This is live, guys. That's what's wonderful about this, because propelling your business and life takes action. Bruce shared a word not last week, but on Tuesday, and I'm going to have him share it again about action because I've been thinking about it all week since then. This is Propel Deep Dive. I'm Megan DiMartino, and this is part of the Propel community. We get together every morning for the Propel Daily, and just a moment of encouragement and inspiration. You receive it in your inbox, in your text every morning. And then on Mondays, I do a newsletter of the Propel Monday mindset, motivation mindset. And then during the week, you get other information about things that we're doing, such as the Propel Weekly, which Bruce joined me on Breakfast with Champions, and then tonight, the Propel Deep Dive. But we're putting together many master classes and other things that will help you start, scale, and sustain the business and life of your dreams. And that intro, which I couldn't hear at all, I couldn't hear any of the music, was talking about my 5 C's. And these are the 5 C's that I've built 3 7-figure businesses with, sold 2, and they are clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and compassion. And this evening we'll go into those 5 C's with Bruce and talk about them and what they mean to him. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Bruce Pulver, who is a wordsmith. He is a wordsmith personified, so that's why I say we're going to take those 5 C's and rip them apart and talk about them from that Propel Deep Dive position. And before we do that, Bruce, though, I'd like you to share with our guests, because this is a different group that was there on Tuesday. This is also streamed out live into YouTube, LinkedIn, and also, of course, into the Propel Facebook group. But I'd like you to share with our guests a little bit about you and what brought you to #1 best-selling author, the title of that, the essence of that book, but also your TEDx talk. And now you're a business consultant and speaker and mentor, and you're just projecting that Propel philosophy. So do share a little bit about the beginning of Bruce Pulver and how this all began.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's great to be here. Great to follow up. We're going to take a deeper dive today from what we did on Tuesday, which was great. Love that, and this will we'll take it whatever direction that the Holy Spirit takes it today. So I guess all of what you just asked about really started with what I call a BAM moment, BAM. And that's when everything in life is kind of going a certain way. Maybe it's comfortable, maybe it's routine, maybe kind of we're settled in, maybe we think things are going well, and maybe they are, and then something occurs, BAM, and that changes things. It may not knock everything off its wheels, but it forces a new trajectory or a new way of thinking. And that for me was a job loss after many, many years in the same industry with just a couple of companies. And so that's really where I guess the stake went in the ground. Mm-hmm. But if we back up, you can go either way when something happens that you could say to me, or you could say it happened on my behalf or for me, that caused me to propel in a different direction. we back up all the way to the beginning. We had quite a medical miracle in our family on the day I was born, and my mother had a major heart challenge called dissecting aortic aneurysm. And while it's still a significant traumatic event, back then, the longest survivor of an aortic dissection during labor was 72 hours. And my mother received massive numbers of miracles through surgeons who just happened to be at that medical center where they were teaching heart procedures. We were very close to the hospital, so we were able to get there quickly. She needed major pints of blood transfusions, and they all came virtually from our local church. So God was in action. God showed up on my opening day. And I was raised in a family with great gratitude and great faith. And I sort of was raised in that everything works out for the best. You just work hard, you will get what your work produces, sort of thing. And then so when this moment happened to me, redirected me, however you want to say that, I called on the faith and the power of my father's positivity and words and that moment of a job loss. So that's how kind of it all started, from transitioning me into something different than purely the corporate America world that I had lived in for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you started this with saying, things happen not to me but for me, and but that's a mindset. And you also shared just now a nugget that you were raised with that mindset that things happen for a reason, things happen and work out for the best. And so you, of all those, years, and obviously you didn't start in corporate America, when you were born. So you were brought up, as a young man, a young boy, and then a young man with that mindset. And even though your mom was taken from you when you were 22, you used the term the other day that you had a full life. And that's a great way of looking at that too, because I often hear people share about, oh my God, I lost my mother at 19 or 25 or whatever. But you looked at it not about a loss, but how you were blessed to have her in full health, because I asked you that question the other day, in full health for 22 years. So it's that mindset that you had her, and she enriched your life along with your dad, because they were a couple, and that you had a sibling, your brother before you shared. Right. So you had a full family life and a full life. So that was part of Bruce Pulver. Yeah. You also mentioned just now, and I'm not saying you didn't share this on some level on Tuesday, but you shared this now about the Holy Spirit, and about God's will. And so how has faith, so you were brought up in a faith family, so how has faith played into not only the first 22 years of your life with mom, but then going, college and then career, and then this moment in time when that dream job, so to speak, was taken from you. So how did faith fit into all of that?
Yeah, great question. And so, I think so, without it being like perfect, because it wasn't, right? I was in, we went to church as kids, and I felt very much that I was connected, youth group, Sunday school, camp retreats, those kind of things. But I wasn't necessarily connecting, right? And there's a difference there between, at a young age. So, I participated and I was involved, but I was just a regular guy like everybody else. And I think that so probably drifted away a bit from that. But when the BAM moment in my life happened, and, we'll kind of talk a little bit about the book maybe later as we go through. Yes. And I was just sort of given these words to write and use them in a way that was rather unique, that helped encourage me. I couldn't question where they were coming from. I couldn't say, oh yeah, I just, woke up and looked in the dictionary and there was another word. It was like, no, I got this word, awesome. because I needed a day that was awesome. And I just wrote it vertically, and it became a wonderful experience shall overwhelm my expectations, just using the first letters or the letters of each word. Um, that was bigger than me after doing this for 30 straight days and then 45 straight days. And then all of a sudden, it was sort of a lifestyle of waking up and expecting and having that in my background then would be a divine download, if you will, to encourage myself. And then sort of getting the instructions as I was raised in a family that was also, they gave as much as they could of their time and of their energy and of their love, that it was something that was like an assignment that I was willing and eager to do, which was start sharing these out. So that was a very big part. And I hope that helps kind of explain it, that it was kind of a drifting here and there. But I will say it's been strengthened as I've stepped into, out of completely the corporate world and saying, okay, God, you've got something bigger for me. I believe it. I have faith in it. And, he's paving the path. I'm not a patient person, so maybe not as fast as I'd like it, right? But he's opening doors, and every time he does, there's a great moment that happens. The other thing I'd say is, the joy of mom, for me being 22, she was 53 when she passed. Man, that was hard, right? Oh my gosh, your kid, because all of these things in my life were getting ready to start, graduating from college, getting into my career. And I wanted those to be things that she could enjoy as well. So it wasn't just okay, now she's, pushed me out of the nest and now I'm totally on my own. There was definitely every emotion you could think of that loss and grieving, just like everyone has. But at this point, all I can do is take that with me and put it to use.
And that's a very important piece for our listeners to hear, because again, going back to the first opening statement, it's about what you do with that. And it's doing for you. And if you have that understanding and that mindset, then you look at things in a different light. That's a muscle. And so when you just said now with the BAM moment, how you took that time and you took that word awesome, but you continued on for building really a habit or a muscle of that. And so you took that time, but that operative word time, to because you had the time, and to, instead of woe is me, you took that time to go within and take that. And the other piece to the, I asked you about your, faith home, and how did that prepare you, so to speak? And you shared about falling away a tad. And you know what? We all do.
Right.
We all do. I really do believe it's part of God's plan in a way, because we have to test life and see and build our own understanding, however that is. And then, but yet the seed that was planted with you, for you, by your family and how you were brought up, was there and, watered over time, that seed time harvest. But you were ready to, instead of shriveling up in a ball and not getting off the couch, you took that time to go within.
Yeah. Instead of woe is me, wow is he, was sort of the full circle. It's like, okay, there's more, and we talked about this earlier in the week, but when I realized that this gift of this writing, which really was quirky to start with, became valuable to others as we shared out the meaning of a word, or a friend of mine said to me who was going through cancer treatment, told me that she took her book every cancer treatment that she went to, and it really helped her make it through. And then you go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just throughput. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just the person, the vessel maybe is where I'm trying to be. So that's how it became so important that I stay connected with that, because there are moments that you go, all right, okay, you got to be kidding me. That just happened, and it wasn't planned, or that door shut, or I had that deal ready to sign, or that agreement was in place, and then something happened, and you just have, I don't know. I've just found that as hard as that can be, when I let it go and just say, there's a bigger plan, just keep moving. Because I do believe God likes to hit moving targets. And so if I keep moving, he'll keep putting me where he needs to be.
I think that's a very important point. I think we need to focus on that a tad. Is God works with moving targets. We cannot be. I mean, it's scriptural. It says it. That that it's about that taking that action and that word again. Because again, faith is faith in action. Faith is that is truly scriptural to keep moving. And if we stop, the bottom line, and you can take this to the bank, is that you'll have to start all over again. Yeah. So it's incumbent upon us to take a pause, yes, reflect upon it, but to keep moving. And so how is, so let's go back a tad. The work that you were working, the corporate job or the company that you're working in the field that you're working in, what was that? Let's just, because I'm not clear about that. So what was that job?
Yeah, so sort of as a calling, I guess, at that point in time, I went into the healthcare industry, and I was in the technology side of healthcare. So helping hospitals run through improved automation, and a lot of it was in the financial side of, the whole details of the billing and all that kind of stuff. So I was in sales, in client relationship development, in marketing, implementation and training. So it really felt, and it still does, it's a great industry. It's the people that are in that industry have a special place because they all care so much about people. And it was very rewarding to me. And it was kind of a way, that I could say, this is sort of the way that I'm kind of paying forward the blessings that were given to me. And, then things happen, right? As companies merge, industries are not immune to that sort of thing, mergers and downsizing and tough times in revenue and, all the things that the economics bring to play.
And so when you were let go, so to speak, that bam moment, prior to that, Bruce, had you given any thought at all, ever, to maybe doing your own thing?
No.
No.
I mean, we would do things that we would enjoy, but more as hobbies, my wife and I, whether we would, we host house concerts in our home. So we'll do something like that, or she's a chef, so she's got her own, and an interior designer. So I would help her in those kind of things. But to me, my dad was in public service, so he was kind of in a public corporate environment, I wasn't surrounded by too many entrepreneurs. And so I really didn't. And, once you get in that groove of, a routine, there's benefits to it. There's also downside, but you kind of play these mental games sometimes. And listen, corporate America is amazing. And I took only great things from it because it gave me so many positive aspects. And I still work in corporate America with corporations in what I do in my speaking.
Yes.
There's a total, and I'm not telling any entrepreneur anything they don't already know. It is like nothing else, where everything that's going to happen has to be based on you making it happen, or being in a position where, you're doing everything you can to bring value, which then in turn, you're just driving. In a corporate setting, I'm not going to say that you can hide or you don't have to do that, but it is a little bit different because there are other folks that carry the water alongside of you.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been watching, probably not, but Heather Parody, who is now Glenn Lundy's co-hostess, they're doing the Week of Innovation. And she yesterday was speaking about, I can't give you the exact topic at that moment, but the overarching theme is innovation. But she was talking about the golden handcuffs, meaning that there's that, and that's what you're speaking about, meaning that, well, I asked you, had you ever thought of being an entrepreneur? And you very quickly said no.
Yeah.
Because you get it, I don't mean just you, but meaning, because I worked in corporate for many years prior to starting my own business. but you get very, I think you use the same tools that you obviously have built over time and use it as an entrepreneur. That's why having that background is very, very helpful. But you get very involved in the culture of corporate, the team, the building, the doing, but yet also the benefits. And so that's what they were talking about with the golden handcuffs, and because you have to, so this is my question, as an entrepreneur, because you did share earlier in the week that you took a few other corporate oriented jobs before saying that's it.
Yeah. For, I kind of had parallel paths there for a while. You write a book and I didn't really expect it to be that, but it was something that intrigued me and drove me. And I felt like I was called to do that. But then I think I may have used the words, I felt like I had a foot in two canoes, right? There was the corporate requirement and that job, and that was wonderful. But at the same time, I'd find myself after having a meeting with, a chief executive at a healthcare system to say, and can you introduce me to the person that runs the family library, the family services area of the hospital? I'd like to just swing down there and, drop off a book. And that was never a bad thing. I mean, right. I mean, it was always so rewarding and all, but it almost, kind of talking out of school here a little bit, but it almost felt more rewarding to have that meeting with the family services director than, sometimes getting beat up by the exec, because of your systems and all the support or whatever. It's like, finally a place that I land and I can have a conversation about, the families that they're serving and all. So it, quite honestly, that probably helped build a little momentum, kind of encourage me.
Yes.
Into that.
The taste.
We get the feedback, right? We get that. It's not validation as much as it is affirmation that you're kind of in the right place and you're doing, you're doing something that is really making an impact that you probably can never be paid back for. And that's the awesome part. Sometimes you'll never know who reads your book or watches your podcast or, here's your walk and talk or, whatever. You'll never know. And that's kind of the beauty that, sometimes it ripples back at you and someone does say, wow, that meant a lot to me.
Yes, exactly. Back to this theme of innovation, which it's in our faces big time with AI and chat GPT and everything else that goes along with all of that. And as I said, the theme of this week on Breakfast with Champions is innovation. And Glenn Lundy is in San Antonio, just down the road a little bit from me, a couple hours. And Lisa Copeland, who is a friend, and she was in the auto industry. And so Glenn asked her to come and speak. And I read on Facebook, now I haven't heard her talk, but she posted that she was driving down the road to visit, with her auto friends and going to speak on, and you just touched on this, on the theme of innovation. But my talk, she said, is about people matter. And that's what you said. And that's the driving force to me, truly, Bruce, is the reason I keep doing what I do is the feedback that I get every day from people that on some level I impact. And I don't mean just me. It could be my skincare products. It could be, being involved in the Propel connection. It could be, I did 2 facials today. I don't do a lot of facials, but I decided a couple of weeks ago that it was time to do that instead of just giving it to everybody else. I'm going to, do some that really come to me because I truly, 2 reasons, Bruce, 2 reasons. And I want you to speak about this. One is that I enjoy it. But number 2 is that as I evolve this business, because I shrunk the model to change the model, meaning 3 treatment rooms in here are leased to 3 women that used to work for me as W-2 employees. So as a proud mama, I raised them up, I mentored them, and now they have their own businesses. Okay? So I'm going within and saying, Lord, what do you want for me, not just the regenerative stem cell, which is truly why I'm doing this brick and mortar, but what do you want me to do? And I'm getting, Bruce, I want you to mentor people. Well, okay, I say, okay, I'm doing that with Propel, your business and life activation program. But in the beauty industry, and I'm not going to ramble on about the needs, but I'm actually teaching at a school on Monday, the Paul Mitchell School in Austin. And this is the second time in a month and a half going back. And I'll be doing a lot with them. The industry needs mentorship, truly does. And there's a deep, deep reason for that. And one is the schools turn out people not prepared, plain and simple. So as an entrepreneur, my heart has always been other people, helping them really identify their dreams, goals, and aspirations, and then help them attain them. So I may do 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 more of these little breeding grounds. I don't know. But I won't know if I don't keep my finger in the pie. So back to you. You had this fabulous career. You were building this career. You were enjoying this career. You were impacting that industry. And then the bam moment happened. And then you weren't ready to totally transition, but you started technically creating the meat and the essence of your book. And so you launched that book as you still were in corporate America. Share with our guests about the book. And you touched on it, but those 30 days that went to 45 days and so forth. And I get your email every day. So share about that.
Yeah. So, you know, again, it was sort of the first word was strong. Bruce, you have to be strong, right? It was a way to say encourage yourself. And I guess I just stayed open to what's tomorrow going to be, and what do I need tomorrow? And so that was sort of the petri dish maybe of what I would write each day. And it was really just going to be a journal after a while, you know, sharing it with friends and family and my daughters. And the working title of it was The Wordy Dad, because that's what I was. I'd come down with a word every day. And then there were some really positive aspects of impact as I was writing. And I had no idea, how do you do a book, right? it was, you know, several years ago. So there was sort of self-publishing, there was find a publisher, or there was this hybrid thing that I discovered, which was work with someone who's done it. And, you know, it's your book. They work with you on just how to make it as good a book as it can, more than just a journal. And so Above the Chatter, Our Words Matter came out of that, 18 chapters of different themes, and it lines up the 420 or so days in a row that I wrote a unique word. And it's an interesting, the feedback I've gotten from various readers has been, you know, I read this thing cover to cover. And I've also heard people say, you know, I just dropped it and opened to a word that might have been under the chapter of, you know, recharge the batteries. And there was one word just sitting there in an acrostic format with a little message around it. So that's what I needed today. So, you know, I'll stop there, and I'm not sure if I'm exactly answering the question, but that's kind of how it evolved. And
so you took that BAM, that perceived negative, and started working within it. And why I shared what I shared was that, but I was asking it also on the level of entrepreneurship, meaning that you took that seed of that, wrote the book while you still were in, you know, a W-2 job, but that was planting the seed to the next step.
Yeah, because I landed in, you know, another job in the same, it's another career in the same industry, and I was writing, and then you'd go to a meeting, and anybody, you know, someone would say, anybody got a encouraging, you know, some good news to share today, a deal closed, or you got an opportunity, and I'd say, you know, you know, I was thinking about this word, about how good this team is, and the day was collaboration. So I'd just say, let me just share this with you. I go up onto the board and write it, and so it kind of became not necessarily what I did, but it started to become who I was. You're the guy that will look at a word, or what are you doodling, Bruce? I'll never forget. I was at a healthcare conference, and there was an amazing speaker who had just written her book and a beautiful story about a woman who was called, believe it or not, to build a football stadium for a high school that was 500 miles from Juneau, Alaska. Her name is, I'll say her name, it's Kathy Parker, and she is an amazing lady. She was doing a talk at a conference about her book and her calling and all this stuff, and I just started doodling a word because she said what her word was in the morning. I can't remember, it was motivation or something, and so I just started doodling it as she was speaking, and at the end, she asked for any feedback, and I raised my hand. She goes, "Oh no, I don't want to know if I want to call on you. You've been taking a ton of notes, like counting the number of times I said and," or I said, "No." I said, "If you don't mind, I'd love to share what I heard from you about." I think it was motivation, and I just had written an acrostic word for her, and that was pretty powerful because we just spent 2 hours after that sitting next to each other, just talking. And we became fabulous fast friends. And to this day, she's a dear friend. But it sort of became a way for me to find an outlet, a way for me to, and then I just said, yeah, I can do something with this.
Wow. That is a mic drop moment, because I have to find a way to do this. Because that is the seed of that creation, because it was in your heart. You saw that it was part of your dad. It was the word guy for the kids. I mean, it was part of your life. And it was just that burning desire, as Napoleon Hill speaks about. Would you say it was becoming that?
Oh, absolutely. And the visual that I may apply to that, because I'm a word guy, but I kind of think in pictures too, is, and I'm not telling folks to go quit their job and go just,
No,
not at all.
No.
But imagine, remember that beach ball, you're in the swimming pool, that beach ball is full of water, right? And you're full of air, I'm sorry. And you're pushing that beach ball down underneath, just either to float you up or just because you want to hold that down. But that beach ball is going to find its way to the surface, right? It's going to find its way somehow in its own path. And I think for me, I could say that that's an example of just something that the time was right for me to start taking something that maybe I thought was quirky, and it wasn't writing acrostic stuff, but I did like to kind of doodle around and look at words different ways and play on words, kind of like my dad did. But it was maybe that if that's inside of you as someone that's out here listening and there's something that's been burning, or it's that beach ball that's under the water, pay attention to that, because not only, I'm not saying that changes who you are, like you go in a totally different direction, but that's what's unique about you. That's the gift. That's the God installed feature to share, the gifts that we all have. And, pay attention to that. Especially if we have, teenagers or around youth, where we have the opportunity to coach or be in a choir or something where we can impact our youth. There's that thing that we have a hard time, even as adults, especially as kids, to say that's weird about me, or that's what's awesome about me. And I would choose to say, explore the awesomeness, because there's something there for a reason.
Wow. So now, my friend, you took that leap. You wrote your best-selling book. You did your TEDx talk, and so on your resume, you're a author, speaker, TEDx speaker. And how did the transition, not just saying, okay, it's time, I've been given this memo from, the big guy. I've been given this memo, so it's time, and your wife was in agreement. So you took that leap, but now you're doing a lot of business consulting and business speaking. So you're tying together all of those 22 years of corporate and the background that you had. That's why I love John Maxwell. He was a pastor for a lot of years, not just a few.
Right.
But he took all of those years and using it in leadership training. So how are you now transitioning that, Bruce, of what you've done, and and the speaking you've done, and you'll continue to do major speaking, but what is the platform when you do a corporate work?
Yeah. So it's going to vary by, I mean, you have to be sort of a chameleon a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but the real message is that there's power in a single word that can change a life. It can change a business. It can change a philosophy. It can change a culture. It can change a relationship and in business. So something as simple as the word, oh no, I'm bound. If that's what our culture and our company is that we feel like we have limits. We feel like we can't solve the problem and we're bound. We could just turn and look at that instead of saying I'm bound and restricted, say I'm bound and determined. So a lot of it is how do we unplug sort of the way that we've always been going. I call it Mr. Used to. We used to do it this way. We used to do it that way. It doesn't work because we used to do it this way. And I kind of say Mr. Used to doesn't work here anymore.
Wow,
We've
that's
got
good.
so it's a way to step back through the power of a single word, a phrase, the word growth. We can sit down and have three different, we can do the executive leadership team in a room, 6 people. Say, what does growth mean to you? And you break it down vertically, right? Everyone has they got to use those letters to, and so you have that as an exercise. And so what can come out of that is, wow, I never really thought about growth being the W of growth might be, working smarter, or W of growth might be waste exclusion. It doesn't, it doesn't matter. And so what I'm finding is that a lot of executives, the one percenters are those that are leading the companies. And sure, there are one percenters within the ranks, but there could also be folks who are going to be amazing, but can get to 80%. They can be, they'll be in the top 20. And how does a CEO, a significant, head of industry, get the most out of what those folks can give? And they're not going to be the ones who are going to work 16 to 18 hours. They can't, but they want to contribute. So there's this whole culture aspect of belonging, being seen, being valued. And so those are some of the things that I'm working on right now with some companies about, you merge some companies together, you've got amazing culture opportunities. Or how do we, if we're going to retain our best young leaders, what is it that they need in their work world? And you can launch that with a word. It might be, I need to be seen. So what does SEEN mean to you? Boom, you break it down, and now you've got a way to look at that. So that's it's kind of different when I talk to executives about this. It's not about, reading a P&L. It's not about managing your territory. It's more about getting the most out of yourself through self-talk, communication with others. What's the script that what I'm saying and what you're hearing, Megan, could be 2 very different things. And am I making a connection?
Yes. Wow. But what I'm hearing is that wow, this is just so exciting to me, because what you didn't deviate, you didn't change, you didn't adapt to what you perceived that the corporate world then needed. You continued on with what you're doing. That is you. And so you are adapting that same structure in helping the corporate world. Oh my goodness, Bruce, that is so powerful. So
Well,
powerful.
thank you. We're the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if I can bring value,
Yes.
and if I give more than I get, and I think we talked about this last time. The only time give should come before get before give is in the dictionary, right? Alphabetically.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I remember my dad telling me, it says the only time give should come before get is when it comes after the word up. You should always get up before you give up, and find another way. It doesn't mean everything's going to turn out, rock star status, because we got to fail, right? We got to fail. We got to fail soon, because that's how we learn. But yeah, it's about what is it you need. And a really dear friend of mine and I often talk. We talk every Friday at 1:00, and we've talked about being in a place in life where success is important, but significance is more important. Like,
Amen.
I don't need to be the one that climbs up to the top of the summit. I don't need to be the climber. I want to be the helper, and that helper is the Sherpa, the one that guides and is there and directs and takes feedback and provides feedback. And I think when you can kind of get out of the way of, I'm climbing faster than you, or I'm going to make it to the top before you, or I'm going to have that stuff. And maybe I'm in my life in that part where those things aren't important. What's important is, just like you said, that mentorship, working with those students, over at the Paul Mitchell, school, and just helping them be the best they can be faster than it took you to be the best you can be. What can you do to help cycle them through?
Yes. I was there, I said a month, a little bit plus ago, and I was with the whole campus. So there was over 100 people in the room. And so, I played my sizzle reel to begin, and, but the estheticians were sitting in the back, and several of them were on the floor. So that's cosmetologists were in the front, taking over the room. And I said, excuse me, my people. No, come up here. Even if you don't have chairs, go get chairs. Come up here, you're with me. So anyway, at the end of the day, I knew I was coming back on the 30th to just be with them. So after everybody's leaving and we took pictures and all that jazz, I went over to them and I said, okay, don't leave yet. I said, I don't need to teach you how to do a facial. I don't need to teach you how to do a peel. Hopefully you've learned that. What do you need from me? And you know what they said, Bruce? Just what you just said. Holy moly. And they went, this one girl raises her hand. We want to know what you do, what you've done to get to what you've done.
Yeah.
I said, okay, got it. That's easy. That's this, Yeah. So the bottom line, Bruce, is with what you're doing, holy moly, what you're going to give. And I can't wait to see how this evolves. Now, wow, I just want to ask Angeline. Angeline, are there any guests in the green room?
Yes, there are. So we have Chris Kissel, and we have Brian, and we had Trisha, but she dropped off. So we do have a couple. So welcome, Chris. I think this is the first time in the deep dive with us. So super exciting to have you.
Hello, Chris. Welcome. And Mr. Brian Coletto is here. Welcome, Brian. And Bruce, do you know Brian Coletto?
These are two new friends.
Okay,
hey,
good.
Brian. Hey, Chris. How are you guys?
Well, I love this conversation tonight. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
Chris. Thank you. Well, we're here every Thursday night with the deep dive with fabulous individuals like Bruce, and really just talk about so many people have, the 3 steps to this and the 7 steps to that. But my heart is really to get into the individual and to hear their hearts and what trajectories did they take personally or not, meaning like his BAM moment. But that was a trajectory. So to help all of us to hear the commonality, to help us propel our business and lives. So that's the essence of not only the deep dive, but also we're on Clubhouse on Tuesdays at 10 Eastern with my guest, and to help you guys hear that we're all building together. We're all. So thank you, Chris. And where do you live, by the way?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri, and I have to say, you and I have chatted quite often in Clubhouse. It's wonderful to actually see your face and see you as a person.
Yes,
so it was very refreshing.
And that's another reason I do this, because, and I love the StreamYard platform because of that, because you can join us, and come in and speak. So we're going to, expand this. I'm really giving some thought to all of this. I'm talking about the deep dive, not changing any of this, because I agree with you. I like seeing you. I wear glasses. I have 2 pairs of glasses right here. So I, sight, challenge, but thank you. And yes, I know your voice. Isn't that interesting? You could close your eyes and hear my voice from Clubhouse, right?
Exactly. And I do have to give a shout out to Clubhouse. And Bruce, I don't know if you've been on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I've met so many amazing people, and you, Megan, and Angeline are some of my favorite people. And I feel like I truly know you just through that app. And I don't feel that way about anything on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. I love the authenticity of being able to speak to somebody.
I agree, Tricia. I really, really, really agree. I've met so many wonderful people. I met Bruce, by the way, on Facebook with Glenn Lundy. We've been Rise and Grinders for a long time. And so when Glenn started his room on Clubhouse in December of 20, a group of us, just kind of followed him over there. So then it exploded because everyone was home, and those rooms were so huge. But Bruce and I have had many Zoom calls. We have been working on and collaborating. So we've known each other for quite some time. And we were talking the other day how I've not met him in real time, but that's going to change in 24. And I have some thoughts and ideas of doing some things. That's why I asked you where you live. But with that said, our dear friend Brian, do you know Brian, Chris? No, I see your head shake.
Brian?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen you before, Chris, on Clubhouse. Yeah, I even think we're connected on there.
Yes, could be.
Well, Brian and I have met, in Clubhouse. And Brian, do you know Bruce Pulver?
Nope.
No. Okay. As you said, 2 new friends.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to share a little bit about Brian for you, Bruce. Brian and I have met on Clubhouse, and Brian has autism. And instead of having it destroy his life, he has become an advocate in the autism platform.
Thank you.
And he has worked for 14, 15, whatever years, Brian, in a community, and now he's the director of marketing for this. So he's a person you both need to know each other. And as Angeline will tell you, I'm a connector. You probably can pick that up, Chris. But when I find people that they have this and they have that, to know each other, I get you together. But Brian lives in Central Jersey, and so near Barbara Majeski, not too far, near Princeton. But he is a special man. So Bruce, I'd love you to meet Brian.
Wow. So great to meet you guys. And please come off mute. Stay off mute. Don't leave those buttons on. We have a conversation. For some reason, you guys said, yes, I want to come into the StreamYard room. And I'd love to just understand a little bit more about, why and how I can serve you. And if there's anything we talked about that made sense, or you're going, this dude's wacky or whatever, I'd love to just make it a conversation. But before I do that, Brian, I do have to tell you that I've had a couple of opportunities with folks who's, had sons or daughters with autism. And I've just handed them the book, writing acrostics vertically and then using the words to define. And there's those parents, but also some folks in the traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury world that deal with aphasia, which is sort of the difficulty of finding the right words and loss of that, to kind of rebuild potentially as an exercise of writing words a certain way and helping define them. So I don't have a ton of experience there, except to say that I hope that there's some application there.
Bruce, and I assume, I don't know this, but Angeline has your information, but you guys need to sign up for his newsletter or daily word of the day, because you would truly be blessed by it. It comes out and he shares a word of the day. So it's very powerful.
I do that via email and also on my Instagram and Facebook pages, above the chatter, Bruce Pulver. So 944 days in a row, I think, was today. And today I wrote I'll share this with you guys real quick. I don't want to dominate this conversation. You guys took your time to say yes to come in the room. So, but let me just share with you what I wrote today, because it was just really cool to me. Here it is. I wrote have with an arrow and need. And the tagline was, you have all that you need and the world needs all that you have. And I broke it down this way. Have is holding great gifts, which we all have. A is available only to you, which means they're yours and you're unique. The V is valued beyond belief, even though you don't believe it sometimes, right? We don't know about what we have is important. And then the E is empowered to impact. So that's what we have. And what we need to know is that nothing lacks in you. It's all there. The E is everything you need. The E is embedded in you. And the D is decide you are enough. So
I love that. I love that. I am going on your Instagram. I'm on my phone right now, so I'm not going to mess with this, but those are the things I share. I love that. Thank you, Bruce.
Oh, you're welcome. And the only reason I say I'm high-fiving you for following it is not me in numbers. It's that you're connected to people that I'm not, and I never will be. And so the ripple impact is if there's some person that you know that I would never know, and they land on a word like, I don't know, faith, facing anything insurmountable, trust him. And they're like, then we'll have touched someone together, and well, maybe I'll have the honor of meeting that person, but even if I don't, there's an impact. So thank you.
I love that because faith is one of the pillars of my organization. So I'm going to have to take that one from you too. I love that.
Please do. It's in the book. Facing anything insurmountable, trust him.
Book over here.
Angelina's holding it up there.
It's so great. Above the Chatter Words Matter. If you go to abovethechatterwordsmatter.com, you can get your own copy. And you can get it on the Amazon, but if you go straight to his website, Bruce will sign it. I got a signature, and I have had the honor of interviewing Bruce and having him part of my Faith Forward Virtual Summit, knowing him through Elite Rise and Grind. So with Glenn Lundy. So I love this book. I go to it all the time. I use my own acrostics. I've done it always as a kid, right? Like when it all starts when they're like, put your name down the paper and write a description of your every letter. And you're like, what should I describe myself with? Like, that's the very start of it. So when I got this book, I thought it was really, really cool that's how it was created. And I love the cover where it says strong, stand tall, remain optimistic, now go for it. So if you guys, so much great. So Jessica Powers has joined us as well. I know she's not unvideoed, but she does normally unmic when she's on Clubhouse. So hi,
Hello.
Jessica, welcome to.
Hello, it worked this time.
Hey, Jessica.
Hello. So yes, I'm here from the Facebook Live, and then I was there, of course, with the Tuesday interview, and Bruce and I started a IG back channel chat. So I'm really appreciate the learning more about you, Bruce, and the work you're doing. And why I came to the live stream was to contribute with a couple different facets we're talking about when it comes to different life seasons and transitions of work we've done, our identities and things we've done, and in some cases, like others here on the stage with challenges or something happens in life. Sometimes by necessity, we have to adapt. And so I appreciate seeing these connection points and threads in our discussion tonight about bringing more voice and visibility, especially in spaces that need it, because there's so many invisible demographics and unsupported folks. And I'm coming from the lens of being partially sighted through a diagnosis I got in 2020. So I just I share that to complement what we're talking about in terms of voice and calling. We've been discussing calling, and sometimes that doesn't unlock for us until a tragedy or a death or something happens. So I'm both resonating with some of the discussion points and also see alignment to continue a conversation.
Yeah. Wow. That is so powerful. Yeah, we sometimes it takes an event we didn't expect and didn't want. And this is not like rationality. This is not, oh, that's okay because so that's baloney. So don't take it that way. But to maybe focus us and put our direction to something where we can in fact fill a void, because you're bringing everything with you when you
Mm,
come into that space, whatever that is, right? And so the fact that there may be a limit, a setback, a stumbling block that could become a stepping stone, but we also mentally have to get there too, right? It's not just, oh, okay, now I just can go and swim in this other direction, because there's all of that we have to deal with, of the fact that things are now different. But I
mm,
can give an example that about 6 months ago, I was encouraged to start work because I love the game of golf. And there's a organization that's part of the golf associations around the country that works specifically with what's called adaptive golf. So it's
mm,
golfers with some level of a difference, whether it's one-armed amputees, it's paraplegics, it doesn't matter. And this group teaches golf clinics. And what I realized is there is a national golf tour of adaptive golfers. And one of my dear friends
mm.
plays in it, and I'm going to caddy for him next weekend when he's here in Atlanta. He was born with a right arm and a left arm that went to his elbow. So he is technically a one-handed golfer. And he's an amazing man of faith. And he also is an example for younger kids or anyone that they can do anything, that he's a possibility image. And that's what is so cool about taking what could be a setback and then a number of people you can impact. So I'm dominating this, Jessica. I apologize for that, but I just want to say thank you for what you're talking about.
Oh, I don't take it like you're dominating at all. I appreciate the ebb and flow and the space that Megan and Angeline provide every single week with the show. And for anyone that's going to be catching the replay, it's just so invaluable. I'm so grateful I can. Sometimes with techie stuff, I'm not always able to join live, but so grateful it worked for tonight's conversation and that I can contribute. I think it's so important to I appreciate what you just said about the opportunity to focus on what you still can do and what you still have. And I mentioned skill transfer in the Facebook chat. That it's sort of it's a gift. It can be a gift when some of these shifts and challenges happen, because it does cut out some of the clutter and noise of just being everything to everyone, and in some cases can really catapult someone to be more of a niche person in their field. And I think in I would be remiss to just not also mention October being ND month. And if you're not familiar, that stands for National Disability Employee Awareness Month every October. And so there's just so much color and innovation and beauty that this discussion can kaleidoscope with. So in like kind, I don't want to dominate with our other guests on the stage. And Megan, if you had anything you wanted to share
Well,
as
I
well.
just want to say, Chris, Jessica, rather, that, I see your face on the stage every day. And, Bruce, what's really great about Clubhouse now, I think you would enjoy it, because it is less, and you ladies and gentlemen chime in, but it's less the big shots teaching. It's more collaborative and people speaking together. Would you agree with that, ladies and gentlemen?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's turned into little communities,
Yeah.
little place that I have that we all support each other. I'm in a self-care group for business women, and we offer a self-care tip every Wednesday. And then, but if somebody needs some self or is having a situation, we start lifting them up. So it has turned into more of a community aspect.
I agree.
Yeah.
It really is very special. So with that said, Bruce is a person who is committed to helping. He asked me, questions about tonight and who would be on and how, we conducted and all of that, because this is rather unique, format. And I think a lot of people use Zoom and they use StreamYard, but they don't have people come on. Now, if there are 50, 60, 100 people in here, it'd be a little more difficult. But with that said, we still can, that's what I'm thinking through, is how I can expand this to bring more people in to understand this, but that they, like Clubhouse, can participate, and have that inclusive conversation. But Bruce Pulver, again, to do 900 and blah, 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 emails and then post with those words. I've just started my Propel Daily, and it's a lot of work. So he's a committed guy for you all, and so just do follow Bruce, because, like you said, he will respond to you, like you said, Jessica. Now, I do want to say again, back to Brian, and you need to connect with Bruce on LinkedIn. Brian is now, I don't even know what the term is, Brian. What are you? An influencer? What did you get your recognition for?
Yeah, it's just verified government ID on LinkedIn.
Mm.
So, yeah, and I was going to also speak to the point of Clubhouse that, it is definitely a lot smaller on there now, partially because of it not being 2021 anymore, but also because a lot of things changed with the platform, and I still find it difficult to contribute to the BWC room, because I'm usually tight on time in the morning before work, and there's still like 30-minute segments of people talking on there, in most rooms with BWC. So, like, but that was sort of the way that Glenn Lundy put it long ago. So, I don't know if things will evolve with that, especially because of, I don't want to get too deep into it, but what is the future of the app? So that's another thing as well.
Whole other conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just wanted you and Bruce to connect, because I know Bruce is, very involved with LinkedIn and all of the social media. Brian does. I mean, I'm just so impressed by his consistency. He does a video. Is it every day, Brian, or how often do you do
not
that?
every day. There's not really a set schedule. Sometimes it depends on the networking events I go to, and sometimes it's just things going on in my life. And again, I won't get too deep into it on here, but I have had a little bit of challenges recently with some things. I may have a little more information in the coming weeks, but yeah, there's been a little bit of some challenges recently, but my regular job is okay. The videos are good, and hopefully,
Is there anything we can specifically pray for you for?
well,
I'm not saying with you sharing it. I'm just saying, is it your health? Is it personal? I mean, is it, how can we direct a prayer for you?
More personal. I will say that I did have a little bit of a unique cold over the last few days. Not to the same extent that I had it last month. Last month was worse. But, there's other things besides that. But the cold is something that I can mention. And I know it's not pretty evident on here. It's actually worse in the morning than it is at night. That's how I found it the last few days.
Okay.
The morning into the early afternoon is a little tough, and then when I'm home, it's like pretty much okay, much more manageable. So
okay, well, we will be praying. And Chris, you mentioned your ministry. Do share a little bit about that, and maybe what we could connect with Brian.
I don't really have a ministry. I'm creating a new business for wedding professionals, but I do have experience with brain health. My son having a seizure disorder, Brian, and have found an amazing tool that can be another conversation. It's drinkable ketones that helps calm his brain. And I know it has done a lot for people with autism. So anytime I have the chance to share my passion for that, I am happy to have a private conversation with you.
Wonderful. Well, that's, Bruce, that's what this is about, is to help people connect and share and bring to light, just our hearts. And so as we bring this evening to a close, I just want to thank everyone for joining Bruce and I. And I'm so glad that you're able to listen to us and be in the green room or on Facebook, as some people have been. You said that, Jessica, that you did come on to, involve yourself with the conversation with us. So please do come back. I would love that. And so would all of my guests. Please do come back. But I would like to thank you, Bruce, for just being you, Bruce. You're such a unique light in this world. I treasure that you're a friend. And, I just really, and you said something very key when we were just talking, you and I, about you don't aspire to being, the spotlight. It's just being a person of assistance to others. And that those were not your exact words, but that was what you basically were saying. And that's my heart as well, is to help people know that I'm just a little kid from Long Island who wanted to be a dress designer, didn't happen, kept pushing, kept doing, and never stopped. And so deep in the heart of Texas with a creative, serving, mentoring spirit, and just keep on keeping on. So I would like you to end tonight with the word action, which you shared on Tuesday.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So it's one of my favorite words. And it's a nerdy thing, right? I just see words, and the next thing I know, I go, oh, look at that. One would be an example is, words. You just move the S to the beginning. Words are a sword is one example, right? To live with intention, well, you have to live without tension, right? Just crazy things. But to me, the word action is a really cool word because there's 7 letters in it, and it defines itself, what we have to do to take action. The 4th letter is the letter I. The first 3 act, and the last 2 are on. So I just think that, and they say, actions speak louder than words, and I'm the word guy, but action's a pretty powerful one, and they don't have to be massive. Everybody kind of talks about take massive action. And you know what? If you can, I've done 75 hard. I've done all 3 phases. It isn't about you can't do 75 days in one. You got to get up, you got to drink a gallon of water. No, you don't. You got to drink a glass of water first, and then you make sure that you get enough of them to equal a gallon. You don't have to read 10 pages at a stand. You read a couple. Incrementalism, but you got to take action. And I think that's that's who wins the race. It's the one that's around the longest, because you can't lose if you don't quit. It's impossible. You can't, if you maybe the time runs out of the game, but you can't lose if there's no time limit and you don't quit. So anyway, action. I act on. One of my favorite words.
So as I say, start and never stop. And it's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. Thank you, everyone. Love you. And if you're not part of the Propel community, the link is someplace, Angeline, I'm sure has that up there. And I'll see you every morning on the Propel Daily. And we'll see you again next week.
Yes. Make sure you guys go to propel.megandimartino.com/info. You'll get the link to the daily to tap in to the deep dives. You'll get reminded of us being here and all the upcoming amazing things like the Noviton affiliate program. Make sure you tap in to Bruce. I dropped all the links and his Can I Have a Word with You podcast and his TEDx talks and his book website in the comments. So make sure you connect. He's amazing and incredible. And thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chris. Trisha was here earlier. So I appreciate y'all for coming in the green with us and having an interaction. Jules is in the Facebook group saying hello, and she says thank you for also, she was listening in. And then we also had Julio Soto. He was tapped in earlier as well. I'm not sure if he's still here, but so we had a couple friends tapping in and listening. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
And I just want to say thank you to Angeline Moore, because without
Yes.
Moore, none of this would happen. None. Zero.
Pew, pew,
So
pew.
thank you so much, Angeline. Love you, girl.
Thank you all. Thank
Just
you.
take that
Thank you,
first step.
Bruce. Thank you,
Bye.
Megan.
Guys.
This was great.
Love y'all. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.